Welcome back to the NRL Banter Box. Welcome, Lil P.
Hey, Professor. Think this round's been pretty epic. Kobe Hetherington's 100th game, Luai's 150th, and I think Ben Hunt's 350th. A lot of milestones, but then again, a great round. Back to you.
Fantastic, Little P. So we witnessed the miracle in Mudgee. It was the Raiders in a spectacular win over the Penrith Panthers, and they look like they're charging into winning their first minor premiership in a very, very long time. Now, before we get into a review of what unfolded on round 25, Little P, and before we review the final or the second last round before round 26, I'm going to go back to you. And who is this week's Who Am I?
Okay, listeners, listen up. This is a bit of a tricky one today. Who am I? I was born in Queensland in 2002, and rugby league runs in my blood. My dad, uncles, and even my grandfather all played in the game. I grew up in Ipswich and made a name for myself as a young halfback with plenty of skill and vision. I made my NRL debut for the Sydney Roosters in 2021 when I was just 18 years old, quickly showing my sharp kicking game and playmaking ability. Since then, I've become known for my creativity, confidence, and ability to step up in big moments, even though I'm one of the younger players in the competition. I represented Queensland and State of Origin, and I'm seen as the one of the most exciting halfbacks in the NRL today. Stay tuned, everyone, and we will reveal the answer to this one at the end of the episode, so stay tuned.
Oh, that's a really interesting one. Thank you, Little P. So we're going to talk about what we saw, what we liked, what we didn't like from round 25 and previewing the round 26 action. But before we get there, Little P, let's step into a quick rapid fire of two quick passes between ourselves. Now, in episode 1 of our inaugural podcast, we did a predictions episode. And in that predictions episode, we forecast a number of different things. Now, we'll be revealing the findings of the result of that forecast in next week's episode. But one of the questions we asked in that predictions episode was, who will be the first coach fired? Now, do you remember who you said?
Yes, I think I said Ivan Cleary because he had lots of pressure to get another premiership because I think Panthers got 4 in a row, but no, I was wrong, Professor.
You were indeed, and I was also wrong, Little P. I did have a choice of two teams. I thought Benji Marshall would be under a lot of pressure, and perhaps he was out the door running the West Tigers, but they've sort of overperformed and exceeded expectations this year. But I also mentioned the Gold Coast Titans, and it was Des Hasler yesterday, and the team announcing that this would be his final year with just 2 games remaining. Now we have a new coach, the assistant coach of the Cronulla Sharks, Josh Hannay, coming in. Now he's the assistant coach for the Queensland Maroons. He comes with big raps. He comes with a quality reputation, a former player. My question for you, as we look forward to predictions into 2026 NRL season, Lil P, the Gold Coast Titans, they're destined for the wooden spoon this year. What will be their ladder position in the 2026 season?
Well, Professor, it might be a bit off topic, but I think the Cowboys won't improve next year, neither will the Sea Eagles. So I'm probably predicting them to get about 10th place, maybe 9th, but
that's
they
a big
could
improvement.
they could be getting closer to the top 8. I don't think they're ready just yet to jump into the top 8, but getting very close. They'll be nipping at some people's heels in the 8th spot.
Yeah, okay. Well, I think that we'll see Gold Coast Titans improve, but they'll still be in the top 4. Sorry, the bottom 4. So maybe, 15, 16, around about there. But for the sake of the game and for the sake of all the long-suffering fans and the Gold Coast glitter strip, I hope they do have an improved season. So the second question then, Little P, in our rapid fire segment is, who is your NRL unsung hero?
Well, Professor, for me, it's not a Bronco, and it's not any of my favorite teams. I think from the Raiders, Tom Starling is probably my unsung hero. A youngster, an amazing player, and he's definitely the guy you want on your team.
That's a really interesting one. Well, mine is a little story that's not so well known. Last weekend, we had 2 amazing players with fantastic and long careers, Daly Cherry Evans, who on Saturday celebrated his 350th NRL game, and his Queensland teammate, Ben Hunt, also celebrated his 350th career game when the Broncos took on the Knights. So the day after the game, in a great sign of good sportsmanship, the former Queensland captain drove to Newcastle, which is quite a trip, Little P, from Sydney, drove to Newcastle to also celebrate his Queensland teammate in Ben Hunt and what he's achieved in the game for 350 games. So that's my NRL unsung hero. So let's have a quick chat about what we liked or what we didn't like in the highlights and the lowlights reel of round 25. I'll throw to you, Little P.
Well, Professor, for me, it was your beloved Tigers and your not so beloved Cowboys. They were both great teams, although the Cowboys did get over the top of them. I think Purdue of the Cowboys, he was a great youngster, and he set up a great try. So well done
Yeah.
to him. And I loved that try from the Tigers where there was an intercept. Then he passed to Luai, then to May. Gave some footwork. Then he flicked past it off, and what a great pass. And that resulted in an excellent try. So the Tigers for that, I think one of my tries of the season, if not in the
Yeah.
top three. Tom Dearden was also excellent. I remember the referee. Everyone was looking at the referee to make a call of an error, but there was no
Yes.
error. So he kept running, and he's just that kind of player that keeps going. And I've noticed that he really tries in games. So, yeah, Tom Dearden would also be one of my unsung heroes, Professor. But yeah, those are my highlights: your Tigers and the Cowboys.
Yeah, for me, it was an unforgettable night there in Mudgee. It was the Penrith Panthers who head in as sorry, it was the Penrith team who went to Mudgee to take on the ladder leading Canberra Raiders. Now the Raiders were down by 10 points with about 10 minutes to play. They scored 2 tries to take the game into extra time. Nathan Cleary lines up for a field goal, just misses it. The ball rebounds, hits the post. Raiders player catches the ball and they streak down the sideline to score an unbelievable try, a miracle in Mudgee Little P. My other highlight was Parramatta and their demolition of the Roosters. Now, Roosters fans will say, "Well, we lost our halfback. Sam Walker went off the field very early in that contest," but it was a domination by Parramatta Eels, who continue to improve. They won't make the 8, but they have green shoots as they look forward into next year. So that's what we liked, Little P. Let's turn over the other side of the coin in what were some of the lowlights.
Well, Professor, I thought that the refereeing in the Tigers Cowboys game was actually not that great. I think
Okay.
Tigers they did score a try when Scott Drinkwater tackled his leg, but I think they were saying held. I don't think that was tackle held, to be honest. So I think
Right.
that was actually a try from your Tigers. And Adam Dewey, I think he was left in a very bad state after a nasty hit in the chin from a knee. I think he went to hospital having
Yes, he did.
suspected fractures around his eye. So wishing him a slow but surely recovery. And yeah, I think the refereeing in the Tigers game really wasn't that great.
Yeah, so my low light, Little P, is the Dolphins, who were flying with top 8 prospects looking very positive a few weeks ago. But in the last 3 games, they've conceded a total of 160 points, or an average of 53 points per game. Now, they have a critical contest against the Gold Coast Titans this week, and then next week, a must win against the Canberra Raiders to potentially secure a top 8 position. But we'll have more to talk about that very shortly. So, before we get into a preview of round 26, Little P, let's close it out with who is this week's Who Am I?
So, Professor, this week's Who Am I was Sam Walker, great player, and I think Roosters star. Obviously, not playing in the game at the moment though because they lost their halfback. But I'll just jump into birthdays as well, Professor. So,
Of course.
this week for our birthdays, we have Sean Mullany on the 27th, Jack Bostick and Morgan Harper on the 28th, And finally, last but not least, a very special birthday shout out to Veda, a proud Eels supporter in Sydney who's celebrating her birthday tomorrow. We are recording this episode on the 26th of August. So happy birthday, fellas, and very special happy birthday to Veda.
Happy birthday, Veda, and I hope you enjoyed Parramatta's spectacular win over the Roosters on the weekend. So let's have a look at round 26 then, Little P. There's 2 rounds remaining. Now, hot off the press, on Thursday night's encounter, Penrith Panthers have just announced that they will be resting their star halfback, Nathan Cleary. So he won't be playing, which gives a significant advantage back to the Bulldogs. How do you see this one playing out? This one has an important number of permutations.
Yeah, well, Professor, I think the Bulldogs they might get a massive adrenaline hit because they are third on the ladder and they need to stay there. So, yeah, I think Bulldogs for this one.
Yeah, I think so too. But probably a smart play just for the longer term health of Nathan Cleary and resting other players. So team announcements will be later on this afternoon. We're recording this on Tuesday morning, so keep a close eye on those. So Friday night, this is another important contest for the Warriors, who are in 4th spot. Now they need to win this, and they're taking on the Parramatta Eels in New
Yeah.
Zealand.
Okay, Professor, I think that the Eels, I think they'll be nipping at the Eels heels of the Warriors. I think it's going to be a close game, but I have a
Yes.
feeling that the Eels will get over the top of the Warriors.
Yeah, I'm going to lean towards the Warriors, who haven't been impressive. I think, Little P, the Warriors are the worst team in the top 8, but they will probably cling on to the top 4 spot by this time next round. So then we go into the second Friday night match. Now, this is an intriguing one. We have the Storm. They're taking on the Roosters. The Storm don't have Harry Grant now for 2 matches. Sam Walker will also not be playing for the Roosters, and this match is being played at Amy Park.
Professor, I think that the Storm will get over the Roosters just because Pappenhausen, I think it is close to best form after his back from his injury, and Xavier Coates close to his best form as well. So yeah, I think Storm for this one.
Yeah, I agree, Little P, and we could see this round or next the return of Jerome Hughes, the Dally M winning halfback, could be making an earlier than expected return from his injury. So then we head into Saturday. Now, this is the Canberra Raiders, who are returning home from their miraculous win in Mudgee, and they're taking on the Tigers. First
Yeah.
versus 11th. Is this a contest where Ricky Stewart will start resting some of his players?
I'm not sure about this one, Professor. I think your Tigers, they were playing really well against the Cowboys last round, but then again, the Raiders are a really spectacular team, so I think Raiders to win this one, but I think this will be another close match.
Yeah, I think so too. Raiders, a bit more to play for there. Should be a very interesting contrast there in the nation's capital. So the second afternoon match on Saturday, we have the Dragons, who are absolutely smacked by 40 points by South in the previous round, and they're taking on the Manly Seagulls, 13th versus 10th. What do you think?
Well, Professor, I think the Seagulls they're coming off of a win, and Dragons were actually absolutely smashed 0-40. So, yeah, I think the Manly Seagulls to win this one.
I'm going to go the other way, Little P. I'll just have a slight home ground advantage there for the Dragons, and they do welcome back a number of players. So Saturday night, the Queensland Derby, we have the Cowboys. They're in Townsville, and they're taking on the Broncos.
Oh, Professor, I hope the Broncos win this one, but because I think they have a bit more to play for. But yeah, the Cowboys are outside of the top 8, and I don't think they'll be moving up this season. So yeah, I think Broncos to win this one.
I agree. So then Sunday afternoon, we have the Sharks, and then they're taking on the Knights. The Knights haven't won a game in a long time, Little P. They are fighting it out with the Titans for the wooden spoon. Can the Knights win?
Oh, I don't think so. I think the
Yeah.
Sharks win this one. I don't think they can win.
Yeah, Sharks for me too. So then to close it out, we have Des Hasler in his second last match as a coach, perhaps ever. Will he get another job in the NRL? I don't think so. So it's the Dolphins. They're at home. The leaking Dolphins. Can they win this to remain in contention in the hunt for a top 8 spot? They're taking on the Titans.
Well, Professor, I think the Dolphins, they've been in pretty good form, but just considering Herbie Farnworth missing, I think they will get over the Titans, but I hope that Des Hasler has some good moments because I don't think he'll be getting another coaching job. So just hoping that the Titans can get over them. Not that I'm predicting it, but yeah, just hoping.
Yeah, if I have one prediction for this game, Little P, it is that the points will flow just on the basis of the amount of points that Dolphins are conceding, as well as Titans. Not too much to play for. I think we're going to see plenty of spectacular tries. So before we close out round 25, Little P, we then need to look ahead just a little bit into the final round of next week and what it actually means in the possibility, the probability of who's going to be playing who in finals and who is still fighting for spots. So next week, if we imagine, and it's probably going to happen, which is the Storm will beat the Roosters. If the Dolphins win this week, they actually go back into the top 8. But then in the final round, we have the arch rivals from Sydney, Roosters versus Souths. Now, the interesting little wrinkle for this contest, Little P, is that Souths actually welcome back a number of players. And they would love to knock off their inner city rivals and the Roosters to knock them out of contention for a top 8 spot. Now, the other interesting wrinkle for the top 8 is that we have the Dolphins. They'll be welcoming back Herbie Farnworth and they're taking on the Raiders. Now, what we'll start to see this round and next, we've already seen it with Nathan Cleary being rubbed out. He's not injured, he's just being rested. We will see the Canberra Raiders, we will see the Storm just rest a number of players. It's more important that they win finals games than they win, the regular home and away season games. So we have the Phins who are going to be taking on a Canberra Raiders side who will probably rest a number of players, and that brings the Dolphins and their top 8 prospects really back into potential contention there. So can the Phins, in the third year history of their existence in the NRL, can they actually get that top 8 spot? Fascinating, Little P. And then we have top 4. Now, top 4 is still open, particularly that 4th spot. There are 3 teams in contention. We've got the Warriors. Their remaining 2 matches are Parramatta and Manly. Now, in that Manly contest, this will be the final time that Daly Cherry Evans runs out in a home ground. They're at Sea Eagle Stadium. And then we have the Broncos. Now, the Broncos, they're probably going to beat the Cowboys this week. The week after, in a team that they haven't had victory over for a very long time, it's the Storm. However, the Storm, Little P, they will also rest a number of players, which brings the Broncos back into the hunt for a top 4 position. Anything's possible. Now, the third team, who also have a chance of getting that 4th spot, are the Sharks. Now, the Sharks take on the Knights and they take on the Dogs. So they'll probably beat the Knights. So we have a fascinating final round heading into next week, Little P, where the chance to get the 8th spot and the 4th spot on the ladder, it's really open. Really exciting times before we head into September. What shapes up to be spectacular finals for the NRL season. So that's it from us, Little P. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Professor.
And you have yourself a good day ahead, and we'll be in your ears this time next week. We love receiving your emails. Thank you so much to everyone who's been in touch with us. You can find us at nrlbanterbox@gmail.com. And have a good week, and may your team win. Thanks, Lil P.
Thanks, Professor.